Hello, everyone. Today, we are going to rank every game I played that came out in 2025 in this tier list here to see which game is the game of the year and which games are, well, whatever. Two things to know. First, I am only counting games, with a couple exceptions, that I paid some amount of money for. I'll scroll through the list of games down here so you can see what we're ranking today. If I got a game for free, particularly off of itch.io, I am not counting it because I think comparing freeware to paid experiences is unfair in both directions. Free games are better value for money, but they oftentimes are less complete or less polished. Second, I, as you can see from the list, have not played some major games from this year. Expedition 33, not on here. Neither is Hades 2, neither is Blueprints. These are games that I probably would like, but I simply don't know because I have not yet played them. With that, going in alphabetical order here, and I'm going to go in alphabetical order so you can go ahead and see if you want to skip ahead roughly where a game might be in this list. There's the whole list. We're going to start with A Case of Fraud. This is, I think it's all right. A Case of Fraud is a game about navigating a corporate structure and sifting through evidence to figure out the org chart of a hypothetical made up tech business in order to help solve a murder mystery. It's solid. It also pales in comparison to the game that it's essentially inspired by, let's say, that also came out this year. That being The Ruchis Are Dead. We are going to get to that a lot later, but it's not a particularly charitable comparison. That said, I did not dislike this game. It just felt like a less complete experience. It fits that lovely niche of mystery games you can sit down and complete in like one sitting, which is really, really nice. Honestly, this might belong up here. I'll bump it down if we need to later on, but solid game, solid experience. The writing is pretty good throughout. The aesthetics are a little bit less so, but solid experience. Next up is a game about digging a hole. Man, I don't get it. Man, I don't get this one. This one, people were playing on streams and on YouTube as though it was some sort of funny, haha, great thing to play. This is worse than like the Flash games we used to play back in the day. Motherload is like 100 times better than this game, and these other games about digging and navigating. Because the great thing about a digging game can be the ability to navigate in a space. SteamWorld Dig 1 and 2 are great games about digging holes because you are navigating. Same with Motherload, same with other digging games. This doesn't really have that element, and so it's just repetitive, almost idle-based digging mechanics with incremental progression, but without the satisfying loop of many better idle games. It is very much whatever for me. Speaking of better idle games and incremental games, a game about feeding a black hole. That was pretty good. I like games where you are able to have a meaningful impact on the idling process. You can sit back and just kind of let things happen on their own in some games, which is cool. But in this one, for example, you have to move your cursor around in order to break up planets and break up asteroids and stuff. And there is just a meaningful enough amount of strategy that you have to, like, I don't know, lock in and focus, which makes it really good as like a podcast game, for example. I enjoyed it. I liked the upgrade stream. I didn't think it lagged really. I thought it was well paced. In general, just a very, very solid, like, incremental game. This, like A Case of Fraud, might get bumped down a little bit if we fill up these tiers with a lot of really good games, but hey, that's pretty good. A Solitaire Mystery. Ooh, this game's good. This is a just really good game. Terrible name for this game because this is not a mystery game or anything of that sort. This is a game. Looking at this, I think we're gonna need to bump some of these things down, to be honest, because I'm looking at this list and there's some really good games coming up. This is so good. It's really fun. Some of the puzzles and some of the actual... Okay, I should clarify. This is a solitaire collection. It's about 20-odd different, very unique, very strange solitaire collections. As someone who invested in the Zachtronic solitaire collection, at full price and stuff, I love me a good solitaire game. And this game has all of those great solitaire games packed in one wild collection. They get so interesting and weird and difficult, and honestly, I should probably make videos about them. I have not gotten even close to like beating all these games, but they're good and they're fun, and I like the very laid back, not laid back, abstract, pared back aesthetic of the game too. The whole thing is a really good package. We'll bump it up to instant classic if I think it deserves it. Because again, not all the games are per se really fun. They're all solitaire, and not every single one has amazing mechanics and systems. But as a package and as a wonderful thing to kind of dip your toes into and try with different things, yeah, really good and at a really good price. I really enjoy it. Despolote. Now, if you haven't played it, this is a autobiographical, semi-fictional memoir set in the Ecuadorian World Cup. Sorry, let me rephrase. In the World Cup, during Ecuador's attempt to get into the World Cup in the early 2000s, during one of their legendary runs for it. And it's maybe the best depiction of like childhood and nostalgia and hazy memories that I can recall ever seen in a game, and maybe in media in general. It's really, really good. Everything had this wonderful hazy atmosphere to it. Everything has this absolutely wonderful just nostalgic quality. Everything from the field of view, excuse me, let me rephrase, from the oh, that's not the word I'm looking for. I'm looking for like render distance and things getting hazier the farther away they are, to the hyper real dialogue and stuff. There's a lot I love about this game. I also think it's not the best programmed or most clean product out there. Like, I had several meaningful bugs during my playthrough. There was a meaningful amount of jank, but I am so able and ready and willing to look past those kinds of things in order to enjoy a game at its artistic level. I'm a big fan of like games that really have something to say and pull that off. And so much about this package, from the art direction to the sound design. Ugh, the sound design is so good. Everything about it is just really, really, really great. And I highly encourage you to check it out. It is also like the length of a movie. This is one of those games that's like, you know, I did that kind of thing. I did a game that I get like a meaningful experience out of, and like I play through once and I'm done. If you're not willing to drop like, I forget how much it is, but it's over $10 for like a 2-hour experience, then yeah, maybe don't do this one. But as someone like, one of my favorite games of all time is The Beginner's Guide, which I think has a lot of interesting parallels to this game. And as a comparison point, it's wonderful. Game's really, really good. You also gotta know what you're getting into and be willing to brush up against the fact that you're playing like an occasionally unpolished game to just like get to this wonderful artistic core vision. It's really, really good. I think I'm overblowing how unpolished it is. It's still polished. It just is not as much as a lot of the other games that are already on the list, for example, except for Digging a Hole. This guy can hang out down here forever. Dice People. This was also whatever. It's another incremental idle game. I unfortunately play a lot of these. They're cheap. I like listening to them or playing them while I listen to podcasts and that kind of stuff. This one also did not impress me. It's probably better than Digging a Hole, though. I didn't even finish it, which is unusual for me with these kinds of games. They're not very long. I just didn't find the central loop of developing your dice army and stuff very captivating. And I don't really have a lot more to say than that. It just didn't really sink its teeth into me. Unfortunately. Donkey Kong Bonanza. Okay, this one, I'm going to have to put it in hey, that's pretty good, because as you go through the main story, you're having a solid time. You are finding these Bananium gems and all that stuff around every corner. If you don't already know, this is the follow-up to Odyssey, pretty much, Super Mario Odyssey. It's a very robust open world that has these big expansive levels, and the main thing is terrain destruction. And you are going to be destroying terrain in order to find the star equivalent, these giant bananas, and find like gold and stuff that you can then use to do all sorts of things. And I like a lot about it. I like Pauline. I didn't find her annoying. I found her endearing. I like a lot about it. At the same time, this is we're getting to the point where Nintendo's main developers are kind of approaching the open world junk food problem, where we used to have in Mario and major 3D platformer games that they developed a bunch of really like tightly designed, very intentional platforming challenges and specific objectives that you would have to overcome in order to find all the collectibles. And here, a lot of these things, yeah, there's some platforming challenges. The best part of the game are those rooms where you get sent via a cannon or whatever to a whole new separate platforming challenge where you have to navigate a tightly designed world. I really liked in the post game these giant challenges that force you to use your transformation ability to the fullest effect. But it's still junk food on like the surface levels. You have to just mine through every wall, and there's going to be a few that you can't find, so you have to just mine for some gold and then use that gold to find treasure maps and then go to the place. The whole thing does not feel substantial in a way that Mario 64, Sunshine, Galaxy's levels do, in a way that even Odyssey still managed to do because there's so many unique interactables in Odyssey. In this game, so many of the ways you achieve bananas are through just destroying stuff, finding a hidden cavern, those kinds of things. And it gets repetitive. And so I enjoyed the main game, but the post game I just could not finish. And I didn't finish it because I just didn't want to. And that's disappointing from a mainline Nintendo game and one that's going to be a flagship seller for the Switch too. That said, the game's so stalled, and I really like the movement mechanics. I think that they're really fun, and again, they really shine in those platforming challenges. Hey, that's pretty good. Also, I'll be ordering these tier lists closer to the end, but I think they're currently ordered in the way I actually would order them. This is, in fact, above Bonanza, which is wild to say. Easy Delivery Co. I really enjoyed this one. It's a game where you are a new delivery guy who has to deliver packages in a very snowy, very isolated town, and travel between towns to deliver packages and that kind of stuff. And the whole thing has a remarkable aesthetic and a lot that's kind of poking out from underneath the surface for you to find and discover. I think I'm overhyping it by putting it in that category. It's the tippy top of, hey, that's pretty good. Well, I'll put it there for now. I really enjoyed my time with it. The act of just driving around is really solid. These are not advanced controls, but they're really good regardless. In general, I just really liked it. I don't want to say a lot more because I think there is a meaningful story to find, and I did really appreciate the story that was there and the things that you're doing to get through there. It also has, weirdly enough, like survival elements where I'm always trying to get more resources so I'm able to brave some of the natural challenges you have to face. You have to get tea and fire and lighters and that kind of stuff in order to navigate some of the wilderness around your vehicle, in order to activate radio stations, that kind of stuff. There's a surprising amount of depth to the game, and I think it's such a relaxing experience that's also really fulfilling. And that's a really good combo. In the same way that cozy games for a lot of folks scratch a really important, relaxing, and fulfilling itch, I am much more fulfilled by narrative fulfillment than I am by like developing your farm or whatever. Not a dig at Stardew Valley, love that game, but this fills that relaxing niche in a much better way for me than some like quote unquote cozy games do. The Electrifying Incident. This is a standalone, a little game based on, or using the same character, I should say, and same general vibe as a Monsters Expedition, which is a really good puzzle game. This is just a little bit too small. The idea, okay, one clever thing is that they have a central final puzzle, and based on how you solve the puzzle, there's two different endings, and the second solution, which is like the more complicated one, requires a lot of foresight and planning and difficult puzzle solving to achieve. And that's pretty cool. And that allows them to get like a lot of stuff out of a relatively that's the wrong word, small world that they developed for the game. And a bunch of relatively easy puzzles become much more complicated when you need to have an extra objective in mind in order to prevent the bad ending from occurring. That's solid. That's cool. At the same time, very small package. It feels like there could have been a lot more done. You did not need to make the world smaller just to fulfill that second alternate playthrough where you're able to have like the more complicated puzzles. You could have just had that only kick in later on in the game, for example. It still felt like, particularly after the huge, sprawling, like double-digit hour puzzle game that was a Monster Expedition, seeing this game that for me clocked in like well under 2 hours for the first playthrough, it's rough. And I don't think a lot of players are going to go back and do that second playthrough to get, again, the alternate condition handled. It's solid. The base mechanic is cool. You have like a little extendo hook where you're able to move battery cells and stuff around from far away, which is interesting. Interesting enough to make this small game totally stand out? No. I've played freeware on itch.io. I'm thinking Snake Cross. I'm thinking, actually, there's some more stuff coming up on this list. I think that is relevant to the conversation. But games that, like, use that small mechanic, use it to its fullest in a way that this game does not feel like it does. So it's going to hang out here in the it's all right tier, I think. Expelled. Oh, man. Okay. So my worst mystery and, like, detective game take is that Overboard, which is a absolutely, like, beloved reverse mystery game from a few years ago. Overboard is not that exciting. You have to go through in Overboard and in Expelled the same day over and over and over again. You're exploring new possibilities, you're talking to new people, you're mapping out everyone's schedules on the boat and figuring out exactly what everyone's doing at any given time in order to make your cover-up of, in this case, you pushing a girl out of a window. She survives, don't worry. You have to cover that up. The actual act of going through and figuring out everyone's schedules and what you need to do and all these kinds of things is a little frustrating. I don't enjoy it that much. I love the setting. I love the characters. I think that there's a lot of fun here. The roommate is one of the funniest characters I've seen in a hot second in like a game like this. And yet, particularly because you won't know how successful you are and you won't know what different things you did during your run will actually achieve until one unskippable and unreversible cutscene at the end of any given playthrough, which again, playthroughs are like half an hour, so who cares? Well, I care. Because you won't know until then, and then you have to go back through and do all of your progress again. There are ways to maintain some progress, but they aren't robust enough to make it feel like I'm not constantly hitting my head against a wall. The game is just too complicated for me to want to actually fully untangle. And as someone who didn't really love the system at the core of the game, when it was, less intense in the prior game, this more complicated, better written, better visualized experience is just not for me, I think. I could see someone really loving this game. I am not that person, unfortunately. Face Miner, it's all right. This is another incremental idle game. Do I like Black Hole more than Face Miner? What I like about Face Miner, I'll think about this, but Face Miner is cool because you are developing, I think the narrative aspect of it is fine. It's set in like the late 90s and you are developing an entire infrastructure at your computer to do this face mining operation. You are scanning photos for faces and you have to automate it, set up additional servers, set up recording softwares and that kind of stuff. And basically your incremental game is like expanding your empire to become a more and more powerful, user, and managing power usage and managing the temperature of your device and all these kinds of things. And you will probably fail a couple times during the game because you mismanage your different things. That's cool. That's a good thing for an incremental game to do, is to have actual lose conditions. This is not Cookie Clicker, where you are just constantly going up and up and up and up, and there are more efficient and less efficient ways to spend your cookies. No, here, if you buy the wrong thing, you are going to lose because your entire setup either won't be efficient enough for the cost that you're maintaining, or whatever. That's pretty cool. At the same time, the actual story it attempts to present which is a lot of things. It can be an allegory for it's obviously about like environmental damage. It's about how a few people are choosing to become rich and famous and wealthy at the expense of literally everyone else. You are almost single-handedly causing global warming in this game. There's also allegories for like Bitcoin and stuff and the environmental impact of Bitcoin and on like AI usage and those kinds of things. But, there's a lot there. And that is interesting, but not like the most captivating or the absolute best presented, in my opinion, in this particular game. It's solid though. I like the aesthetic, and again, I like the fact that you can lose, which is good for this kind of game. It allows for micromanaging of your build, which I think is really, really interesting. Also, the aesthetic is quite good. A lot of games since like Hypnospace Outlaw and Her Story have been making like pretend desktops and stuff. This one kind of earns it. It actually has like all of the things in place to be a fake OS from like the late 90s. It's pretty solid. The farmer was replaced. Hey, that's pretty good. This one's pretty straightforward. It's a programming game that's disguised as an idle game. You are essentially programming a drone who will plant crops and will harvest your field and that kind of stuff. And your goal is to maximize production and diversify your crops so that you can buy different upgrades and that kind of stuff. And the whole thing is pretty solid. I don't have a lot more to say beyond that. If you like programming, which I do, you'll like the game in particular because they really account for people who already know how to do these things. You are able to go through the early game really fast if you know what you're doing. They don't hold you back really. I mean, there's one thing to be said about, for example, like hiding variables and hiding certain kinds of loops and those kinds of things behind different upgrade paths so that you can't make the most optimal build from the get-go, but like you'll be okay. They're all relatively cheap upgrades. You can hit the ground and go pretty fast really, really quickly, which is nice. Fill Up the Hole, another idle game. This one I think is bordering the whatever tier, but it's all right. This one's very much a takeoff of the Norp analog, which if you haven't played is pretty solid. I don't have a lot to say about this one. You buy houses and then different jobs. The whole point is specialization. You are having these little guys who live in your world specialize in order to fill up the pit, I'm going to call it, because I don't want to say the title again. It's a contender for worst title of the year. Yeah. You are having these guys specialize by building different buildings that they can all live in or work in, those kinds of things. And that's pretty cool. And I like how diverse it gets by the end. You have blimps and you have these balloons and you have all these different things happening, which is pretty fun. I think it has even more diversity in different paths than the Norp analog does, though I haven't played that one since the update, so I just don't know. Solid. I enjoyed it, but it's not revolutionary. It's all right. Flicker, that's pretty good. Flicker is a quite good puzzle game I played earlier this year, actually for the channel. I really liked it. I think it's a quite good puzzle game which is focused on having your candle character jump between candles using different game rules and stuff to light up all the candles without having your character, ever retreat. They can't go back to a lit candle, so you are forced to map out your moves ahead of time to make sure that you are always in these bespoke, well-designed levels, which introduce new mechanics really, really well. You always have ways to go back and traverse to other parts of the level and those kinds of things. It's just a really solid, very traditional puzzle game. I like it a lot. I wish more folks played it. If you want to check it out, again, I have a playthrough on this channel. Check that out. Hollow Knight Silksong. I'm going to have several games in the Game of the Year category because I think that there's different things that a Game of the Year can or should be. This is my classic action adventure. If we're talking about just action adventure, huge meaty campaign with traditional video game stuff. Not best narrative, not best visual novel or whatever, actual best. I'm using every button on the controller to control a dude on a screen. Hollow Knight Silksong easily takes that and just soars. The game is hard. I think the game is a step up from Hollow Knight. That's not controversial. That's like the take of the year. And that's not a big problem for me. I like difficult games, but also because this game's difficulty, I think, is very generally very fair. Um, I am very close to 100%ing it at this point, and there's a couple areas that it's like, yeah, why did you design bile water that way? Why did you have a couple like troll benches in the game, right? That's a little screwed up. But in general, it's very fair, and I like how customizable you can get with your equipment. There's some early game bosses that are huge walls unless as you explore, as you do in a Metroidvania, find certain items and upgrades that will actually help you out a lot with those particular bosses. It rewards exploration in a way that I don't recall the original Hollow Knight doing nearly as effectively or as memorably. There was a lot to find in that game, but you were finding, like, again, the grubs and like generic upgrades. This one, you find much more distinct and much more varied things. The items that you get in this game, particularly through those equipment, the red items, I think they're red items, particularly through the reds, is so fascinating. Hornet gets a gun. Of course, it's beautiful. Of course, it's this wonderful soundtrack. Of course, it's, you know, such a fully realized vision of a game. And I am grateful that this is good because I was on that Silk posting stuff for the past like 5 years. I have been waiting for this one. And it's everything I wanted it to be. And I wasn't even the world's like biggest Hollow Knight fan, but like, because Hollow Knight's not like one of my best games of all time. This one might be. This one I think pretty squarely is. I really, really liked it. The writing's really good. Everything about it is just so pristine and such high quality. And I could see some people being like, "Oh, it's quality slap. I like it because it's good." Okay, I like it because it's good, but also because I think the whole world has so much character and has so much depth and has so much to explore. And there's genuinely so many interesting mysteries to find and things to uncover and just so much to discover. And I find that really, really captivating. It's a good game. Next up is The House on Redactor Street. This is one of those exceptions I mentioned to games that are free on itch. This game is free. It's also quite good, and I wish more people knew about it. It's one really, really, really good case from the Case of the Golden Idol flushed out into an entire game. And that's, I think, the best I can say about it, to be honest. Like that's just really, really nice. Yeah, I recommend you play it. It's gonna take you like an hour and a half tops to beat. Maybe 2 hours. And there's some really clever stuff. I really, really like some of the puzzle design in this game. Everything really does make sense. This is probably like a really good entry point into like the Golden Isle style of game, because is there a Golden Idol demo? If there's a Golden Idol demo, then play that. But if there's not, then this is a good place to see, do I actually like the idea of like navigating a space and then answering a questionnaire about that space after I've navigated it to see if I understand the mystery fully. It's like Scene Investigators, if you ever played that game before, but with a really, really good aesthetic and a really distinct, unique story that I really enjoyed. Is this seat taken? This game's all right. It's interesting, and sorry, just checking at the games I have left here. It's interesting. It's cute. It has a charming little aesthetic, but it's not like really, really good. I think the main thing for me is that it's hard to read the puzzles. I did a whole playthrough of this game on the channel. If you want to, check that out in the playlist section. I found the main story a little twee. It's charming, I guess, but I wasn't that charmed by it. I found some of the dialogue kind of funny, but not that funny. Not enough to interrupt all the puzzles constantly. And I think a big thing for me is that the puzzles aren't that readable. It is difficult to, know instantly, like, oh yeah, does this person want to be like near sound, for example? They'll tell you when to put them down, but just looking at them, they don't have, for example, like, headphones on or something that tells you, oh yeah, these people like don't like them. Some qualities do, but in particular, people who don't like, say, smelly folks or who don't like loud people, you can't tell immediately what their deal is, and that makes it more trial and error, and you'll forget who's where and who's why and who's how. It's all right. I think this game's unique aesthetic did a lot of favors for it, and that is what propelled it into like a relatively notable position on like TikTok and stuff. But like, it's just fine. It's okay. Um, I'll organize the rows into sequential order. In a second. Kirby Air Riders. Ooh, this game's good. I really like it. I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than Mario Kart World by a substantial margin. And I like Mario Kart World, but I don't think the race mechanics in that game are particularly exciting. The platforming stuff honestly felt more janky than exciting to me. But we'll get to that in a second. Kirby Air Riders, I played a lot of the original, especially during the pandemic. I really just dug in and did a ton of the challenges and really, really enjoyed it. And this game, like, is just that with so much more. The road trip mode, literally, who cares? I could not care less. The new city trial is fantastic. The new courses are incredible. They're so gorgeous and they're so pretty, and you have so many playable characters. And just with all of that, you have so much variety in how you approach the game and those kinds of things. I think it's very beginner friendly. You know, races tend to be tight because of just how elegantly designed the catch-up mechanics tend to be. The copy abilities are so much fun to use. All of it is just constant dopamine and fun, and it's a little overwhelming at points, and I really, really like it. And you can get good at it. This is a game that is content rich mainly in the skill ceilings. I don't usually do time trials, but I felt like the need to do them in this game. Was that because some of the challenges require you to? Probably, but that's an entry point into you engaging with that side of the game, and I really enjoyed it. Having all the different carts is just it's just a wonderful toy box that you get to play repeatedly and endlessly and just really, really enjoy the entire way through. And that's really, really fun. I dig it a lot. Okay, next up is Logic Bombs. Oof. Does this go here or here? I'm gonna put this here for the time being, but it might come up to instant classic in a once we get to the end of the list here. Logic Bombs. I mean, it has a special place in my heart, of course. It is the first game I played on the channel. The first ever series I did was on Logic Bombs. It, good game, really good game. Matthew Matosis left YouTube to make it, I guess. Okay, let me rephrase. Him making Logic Bombs makes up for his departure from YouTube. I forgive him for his crime of depriving me of my favorite little intellectual review content. Really solid, not really solid, really good logic game that plays well on PC despite it being, theoretically like a Game Boy game. The whole thing is really, really, it's just really fun. I like the logical mechanics. The game gets really hard really fast, but I was able to keep up, and I really enjoyed the whole thing. I 100%ed it. Honestly, just check out my playthrough to see what the game is like. I cannot and will not recommend it to everyone, but man, is it good. Man, is it good if you like logic puzzles. Okay, Mario Kart World. Am I going to put it in It's Complicated? No, I see a couple of It's Complicated right here, so we'll go ahead and put it in It's Alright for the time being. Again, we'll move this. It's the top of It's Alright. It's not quite pretty good. It's alright. The obvious comparison has to be Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And those games are so content rich and so polished and so pretty and just such a delightfully overwhelming package. And this package is not quite that. And I don't love the item balance as much. I think it's fun that second place in particular gets like a lot more access to like some of the game breaking stuff, but the actual like racing and the intermissions, don't get me started on those. I think it's fun to travel across the world, and I think that there is joy in doing so. The intermissions, I think I like them more than the average person, and even still, particularly in the Grand Prix, I don't think they should have been in the Grand Prix. In Knockout Tour, yeah, they're great. You're going from one end of the world to the other. That's really inspired. You are going to these different maps, and it feels like you are constantly changing biomes and stuff. That's really cool. In the Grand Prix, no. The open world is pretty cool. I like the challenges. The fact you can't do challenges with a friend is absolute like dumbness. It would be so much fun to just explore the open world with a friend. In local, to be clear, you can't do the challenges and do the peach coins and stuff with them in like the versus lobby or whatever. The soundtrack's great. The courses are pretty good across the board. The Rainbow Road's fantastic. The new Dino Jungle is fantastic. But again, I like kind of the new parkour mechanics, but they all feel a little janky. Like it feels weird to be able to jump onto any wall, and it kind of, I don't know, particularly in online races, a lot of folks know the optimal routes, and so you end up stuck like in a traffic jam, and it feels like you're waiting in line to use like the parkour mechanics, right? Maybe I'm just bad. Maybe I'm just like not that good at the game, and that's like why it's not clicking for me. But the whole thing feels like, even with this long development cycle, even with the really well developed open world, even with the polished mechanics, I do still feel like it didn't have enough time in the oven to cook and refine when it comes to how we implement the new mechanics. The open world, like, it would be fun if you could. I don't know. I'm just. It feels like missed potential, and that's disappointing. But the game is still solid, and again, folks are still playing it like it's Mario Kart, and I probably won't stop either. But it does suck that you now have to, when you're telling your friend who doesn't play Mario Kart, oh yeah, you can also jump and you can also parkour and all these things. Do you tell them about those things and confuse them even more, or do you just not tell them and then they're like, well, why are people jumping, right? The whole thing is not as elegant a package, and that's unfortunate because Mario Kart is the elegant sit down and then you're done and you're good to start playing it package. Darn. Meadow Garden. It's complicated. This is a game that is part of an emerging trend of like absolutely megalithic, brutalist structures that are containing you, that you have to escape from. I'm thinking of Lawrence Lure. I'm thinking of. I haven't played White Knuckle, but that kind of fits a similar vibe. That's more horror focused, though, to my knowledge. I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a lot of games, and this one is an FPS that harkens back to like old Eastern European stalker type games, which are FPSs, which are like very brutal and very brutalist in their depictions of the world around you, and it's fine. I think if I was more into the world around the game, it would be so much more immersive. It would be so much more interesting to walk through the world. Instead, you are fighting the same two enemy types over and over and over again as you navigate samey, large looking structures. There's some cool stuff. I love that Astrodome in the middle of the game, or in chapter 2, whatever it's called. That's good. The boss fight, singular, I got lost a few times. The whole thing is not a really elegant package, and I think if I was a different person, I would look past that, but the concept does not intrigue me. The eldritch level of horror at the end when it comes to realizing the scope of the structure you're in, it doesn't do it a lot for me. And I think if it did, it'd be higher up, but the gameplay holds me back a lot here. Next up, Mystery of the Line. This is the most it's complicated of the entire list because I actively like this game. If this tier wasn't here, it'd be going up into here, right? I actively like Mystery of the Malign, and I'm glad it exists and it fits that. It's really okay. It is a game about um uncovering what happened in an attack that happened at a museum. And then as the game progresses, you are also uncovering further mysteries that revolve around the museum. Man, are there some great ideas in there. And at the same time, some of the puzzle design is just very, very obtuse and difficult to work through. I got stuck for literally an hour on. I had I had the pieces of the puzzle in front of me, and I could not piece them together effectively because it does not hold your hand in any way. You are meant to find out basically everything on your own. It gives you the tools to to run experiments and to try hypotheses and that kind of stuff. But a lot of that also requires you to run from like one end of the museum to the other. And so you're going from the library to the staff room to like a poster on the wall to like these different places. And that can be really cool and you can feel really smart doing that when things work out. But when you hit any wall, man, does it get tough. There is some really, really, really clever puzzle design in here. And other parts of it maybe want to tear my hair out. And you kind of have to have the tear herring puzzles to make the ones feel really good. I also like how they give you, my favorite mystery games are the ones where they give you a lot of information and your job is to figure out what's actually relevant. If every single piece of evidence is going to be useful, that's not a mystery game. That is a logic game. You're piecing things together. In this game, you get an entire, there's a really strong supernatural current through the entire game. A lot of the artifacts might theoretically have like, connections to supernatural cults and those kinds of things. And you get an entire catalog of supernatural entities and behaviors that you can look through and try to cross-reference with what's like going on in the world around you. And you have to like knock those things out as different possibilities emerge or get rolled out, and that's really cool. But the game as a whole is a tough package to recommend unless you're willing to sit down and really dedicate your time and a lot of your brain power to this mystery game that is a lot less transparent and easy to navigate than others in its genre. Okay, next up is Nubby's Number Factory, which I think will surprise folks. It's bordering between instant classic and hey, that's pretty good. We'll put it up here for now because I do really like the game. I like the aesthetic a lot. As you know, Nubby is currently my profile picture. If that changes in the future, well, now you know. When this video released, Nubby was repping the channel. The gameplay is really good. At the same time, a lot of these score-based arcade 'em up roguelikes feel like junk food to me in the sense that I put on a run and then I don't feel a sense of fulfillment by finishing it. I feel like I've gone through a Skinner box. That said, this is a really good Skinner box, and I like how distinct the choices you make are when it comes to the items. It has this, it doesn't have the depth of Balatro when it comes to different runs and how you're approaching them, but it has like so many different possible things to explore. I like how the books that you pick up gently nudge you in different directions for what kinds of builds you want to make. Are you going for first peg pop builds? Are you going for halving builds? Those kinds of things. Just really solid, and it's still being actively developed even after its release, which is really, really nice. If this ever goes on mobile, dude, oh, my life's ruined. That's going to be way too much power for one app to hold on my phone over my attention span. Good game. Quite good game. I like it a lot, and I've played it a lot more than maybe I should have, but really, really good game. Rift of the Necrodancer, another really good game. Ooh, I love that game. It is a rhythm game that's less focused on, how do I put this? It has a heavier emphasis on being able to sight read than a lot of other ones do, because you have to not only know where the notes are, but recognize, oh, this is a skeleton who, when I hit this guy, is going to move into the next lane over. Or this is a slime who's going to take several hits to kill. Those kinds of things. And that's really interesting, and it leads to really fun patterns. Somehow, this 3-button rhythm game has more fun patterns to navigate and nail than, like, a lot of Guitar Hero tracks, for example. And I love Guitar Hero. I've played Guitar Hero 3 so much in my life. And at the same time, that one, like, you see the note, you press it. Here, there's just another step of brain power here that makes it feel absolutely wonderful to master a course in a track, as you have to just navigate the dance of skeletons and vampires and all that stuff. It's really fun. The music slaps. The crossovers are great. The art's really good. Another absolute banger in this franchise. Yeah, good stuff. Next up is the this is not really a game, but more so an expansion to a game. This is the Rise of the Golden Idols Detective Pass. Over the course of the year, the Golden Idol team released 4 more DLC packs for the Rise of the Golden Idol, which was a really good game from last year. Um, and each of those packs are probably, with the exception of maybe the third one, individually the best Golden Idol like things in the franchise. Each of them develop a new like concept or a new mechanic. In particular, the first pack comes about with Roy Sampson, the detective. You will eventually have to be able to parse the testimony of people who have been driven to madness, and have them basically navigate, like, these highly metaphorical visions they have and those kinds of things. In general, the puzzle design is absolutely peak. The stories are cool. They fill in some gaps that the game left in its main plot line. I like, in particular, the last one, helping tie up some loose ends for the past 2 games. That's really cool. And I like how little the Golden Idol has a presence in these games, or in these plot lines. The main games are always mainly about the last one. I think the Spider of Lanka, I believe it was called, focused on the idol pretty heavily. But in general, they're really focused on new and fantastical ideas in the same universe, which is really, really fun. In general, really, really good game. Probably the best DLC I've played in a hot while. I think this is the best that the Golden Idol franchise has to offer. And I should explain that. The Golden Idol franchise is a franchise where it's a mystery series where you are put at the moment, not usually the moment, but, in a murder scene or a death scene, and you have to examine the scene, find clues, find evidence, and then usually using some sort of extra logical puzzle on top of things, figuring out, which teacup belongs to who, and that'll help you figure out who got poisoned, for example. Or, this person has a testimony that's told in allegory and riddle to like parse those riddles and stuff. Or which map is the real map to a certain treasure. There's all these extra great puzzles and logic added on top and layered on top of each case that gives them a ton of depth and makes the whole process of solving it feel like unpicking this huge lock, and it's really satisfying. And this is, I think, the best that this series has to offer in that franchise. It's really good. If you haven't played it already and you already played Rise of the Golden Idol, just get it. It's so good. Next up is The Ruchis Are Dead, which is my actual game of the year. Sorry, Hollow Knight Silksong. You're really good, but this is... Oh, man. I think I'm realizing that my favorite genre of game might be like mystery detective games, and this might be the best one that's like been made. It's way up there for me. Now, a big thing, unfortunately, is that... Well, okay, I said unfortunately. I should mention this comes from a Game Jam prototype, which was developed right when the first AI image generation softwares were being like released publicly. And basically, the developer used a bunch of AI images as placeholder and then eventually published the game dev version with those in place. And he was like, you know what? No, I want to redo it. I'm going to go ahead and make the game with fully realized, fully illustrated art. He brought in a notable board game artist to make the art here. Polish it up, add a whole second half to the game, another whole case to handle, and just in general make a much more polished, much more expansive project. And it slaps. The whole thing is really good. I love the new case. The Ruchi Mania case is really, really good. This is a solid 15-hour game if you're taking the time to really comb through evidence and figure things out. And it does the thing I love that I mentioned that I love doing, which is getting just so much evidence. You are given literally the entire internet at your disposal in this game. I'm exaggerating. It's a simulated internet, but you can look up basically any keyword that pops up and go on red herrings and go on false trails and those kinds of things. And that's really cool. And it really scratched an itch for me early this year of just I want to dig my teeth into a mystery and just solve everything. And I solved everything, and God, that was good. It's a good game. The writing's really solid. I really like the ending of the first case is really well done. It's really clever. It's really solid. It uses the game mechanics in a very clever way that really caught me off guard, made me feel really smart for catching it. I managed to figure out every major part of the game on my own, which to me either means that it's really well telegraphed or not that hard. And at the same time, some of it felt really hard. So either way, it was very satisfying to me to work through. Man, that's good. Good game. Big fan of it. I recommend it to any mystery fan. And the core mechanic of you having to piece together the family tree, put in all the names and the faces and stuff, is a really inventive way to approach this that really gives it its own character and really interesting, fun dynamic. Good stuff. Good game. Next up is Stick to the Stickman. That's all right. This feels like a game I would have played on Congregate or like Armor Games 10 years ago. It's more like 15. It's a 2D beat 'em up stickman roguelike where you're collecting weapons and, getting upgrades and that kind of stuff and beating up other stickmen. And the whole thing's solid. It's solid. I have a good enough time with it, but it doesn't feel substantial. The combat is not that satisfying to me. I don't have a lot more to say, to be honest. It's solid. I like the vibes and the tone and the theming. But it's also a bit over the top and a little bit in your face in a way that I don't always gel with. Okay, next up, Strange Jigsaws. Ooh, good game. Good game. It is another 2-hour experience. It's all about variety this time. This is a game where you have to solve a bunch of jigsaw puzzles, and each of them is a unique, bespoke, interesting jigsaw puzzle that really tests a new idea or concept or whatever. And the whole thing is just very fun because of its whimsicality. It's a very whimsical game that I really, really, really enjoyed playing. A lot of love and heart went into it. It's fun and funny. I won't say more because you really honestly should just play it. It's really fun to play and to experience for yourself. Terry's Others Games. Hey, that's pretty good. I'm going to put it in, it's all right. I like this collection of games okay. Oh, excuse me. Take a step back. Hiccup there. I better not get hiccups. Oh no. Okay, step back. Terry Kavanagh, he made VVVVVV. He made Super Hexagon. He's made other quite good games. And he has also released a bunch of Flash and freeware games that he put into collection here after Flash and other services died down. This is Don't Look Back. This is what's it called? The game where you're like a burger seller, like developing a better sign than your competition, like in that deck builder game. It's a bunch of his freeware games put into one collection. The collection is fun. You'll make a perfect cup of tea. You will play some really interesting, very strange prototypes. You will play some just pretty solid games. None of them are standouts. These aren't like the cream of the crop games. His cream of the crop games, which are really, really good, are already on Steam standalone. However, I still enjoyed it. This is probably the Elephant Collection, which I've played previously on the channel with Achievement Unlocked and stuff. The Elephant Collection is intimate because it gives you a ton of behind the scenes looks into games, and you get a bunch of fun commentary and those kinds of things. And there's just some extra stuff stacked on top just for fun. Here, Terry's Other Games is much more intimate because a lot of this is looking into unfinished or unpopular games that he still found charming or interesting enough to still put into a collection. It feels much more like a bespoke, personalized piece rather than an obligatory oh, Flash is dead, let's go ahead and make a collection on Steam for the games to still be played by people who don't know how to download Flashpoint, right? And there's something fun about that. That said, it's mostly a curiosity for folks who, again, know who Terry Kavanagh is and care enough to see what's in the collection. Now, for the most recent game I played this year, hey, that's not poker, or this ain't even poker, you joker. Again, it's all right. It's taking the Balatro, turning poker hands into damage and okay, let me phrase. You are developing machines and hands that will spew out poker hands that will then get you money or damage or whatever based on what stage of the game you're in. And that's cool. That's solid. That's fun. And it's also idle junk food. It's really polished. I like the visuals on it a lot. And I think that the legendary jokers and stuff give you a lot of like interesting ways to diversify your approach. But it also, the upgrade tree is just not robust enough that when you get to the late game, it's kind of like prestiging just for the sake of prestiging, and then from there being able to like eventually beat the game, right? It's fine. It's good. It's solid. It's, as the tier says, all right. Next up is Tower Wizard, which I thought was pretty good. This is a fun, another idle game. I love the visuals on this one. There's another one that's like kind of like a NORP analog type where you're choosing where to invest workers, and this one does feel like actual trade-offs. Every time you prestige, you are going to be doing a whole new approach. I like how the dragon works. I like how the totems work. In general, a lot of really interesting trade-offs you have to make as you navigate this particular puzzle. It's good. I like it. Just very solid, very normal idle game. Recommend. Solid, like, just solid. Good stuff. Type help. Also, we're getting a little bit top heavy here. I'm definitely going to move some stuff into It's Complicated. Because I think some of these things here, actually, let's go ahead and do some of these things down here now. A Case of Fraud, that's good enough. This is It's Complicated. This is, yeah. Terry's other games, I like it though. I think it's a fun collection. It's a good collection too. This one is not as complicated. Honestly, this is okay. Type help. This is my third game of the year choice. Why? Because this game is free. So, fun fact. Remember with The Ruchis Are Dead, how there was a freeware game that the developer made, and then got picked up, and you collaborated with someone else in order to make a fully realized game. That same person is now working with the developer of Type Help to make its own fully fledged game on Steam and other platforms. Type Help is probably going to be better than The Root Trees Are Dead because Type Help is really, really, really good. Probably the best written game I've played in like a long time. I really enjoyed it. I started my playthrough of it at like 9 p.m. on a school night. And like, I was university, to be clear. And I didn't finish it until like 3 a.m. the next day. Or 3 a.m. that morning. I just played it through because it was so captivating, so interesting, so intriguing, so worth just seeing what happens next the entire way through. Man, it's a good game. Man, it's a satisfying, captivating experience. Good stuff. I really enjoyed it. And I don't want to say more because honestly, I think, okay, well, I should say more about what that game is actually like to play. It is all set in a like DOS style interface. It is a solely text-based game. You are essentially having to piece together the whereabouts of every given person over the course of like a day. There's a bunch of people in a house, and you have to figure out where everyone is at any given time to help unravel a supernatural mystery that's emerging as you figure out everyone's location. That makes it sound mundane, but that leads to like really cool puzzles where you realize at this time of day, oh, well, this person are here, but where's this other person? You have to go back through prior conversations and prior days' events to figure out where that person might be, or if they're even still alive. You get the idea. Really good game with a really satisfying final deduction and ending. So good. I really enjoyed it, and I think other folks will, especially with the remake that's coming out this year. Okay. And finally, we have Utter a Name, which is, it's pretty good. I'll put it up here and it's pretty good. I think it's a solid game. Not more than solid. It is another mystery game where you have to walk around a house and view vignettes where bad things happened. Very Obra Dinn style. It is exceedingly Obra Dinn style. And it's not as well written as Obra Dinn. It's not quite that, but I still enjoyed it in its own right. It's a much smaller, more contained mystery. Another satisfying game that you can clear in like a few hours, like A Case of Fraud, and have a satisfying narrative arc be told to you as you do that. Any unique mechanics? Not really. I mean, again, you have to basically tell everyone their name for that spirit to move on, and there's like interesting things to discover as you do it. It's a tragedy what happened at that house, unfortunately, but solid game. Honestly, the more I think about it, I think it might actually belong more down here. No, it's here. It's here. That said, we can go ahead and move. Actually, you know what? I'm liking this layout here. Would it kill me to have like one more game in this section, like move one down? Probably not. But all of these games, I think, earn the rank that they currently have in the system. I dig them. Again, if my list is biased towards good games, great. I mostly try to play games that I think I'll like. I don't really play a lot of games I don't think I'll like because I don't want to. I play enough games already. I don't need to waste my time on games I don't think I'll like. And a lot of these games I quite liked. I think anything, and hey, that's pretty good and above, is a pretty straightforward recommendation. Everything below, most of these games are like still good games, but games that I may not recommend for a variety of reasons over some of the games in the higher up section. In particular, if not for Riches Are Dead, this game would probably be like, in yellow or like orange tier, but in comparison, it just doesn't really pale. Just play this. And if you like this and want more of it, play A Case of Fraud. Okay, let's go ahead and order them within the actual list. We're going to go ahead and do that order to collect. Nope, that's not right. I'm going to go ahead and do, what am I going to do? I think Kirby Air Riders does beat Despolote, but only, no, Despolote is here. Nubby is here. I think we're looking at this as our order here. This is a rough order. Ask me another day, and Kirby Air Riders is above Despolote or vice versa, but this is such a unique experience that will stick with me for a while. Same with this one, same with this one. This way, this way, this way. This is here. This feels correct. This feels correct for the time being. Down here, what are we saying here? We are saying this goes here, this goes there. I like that a lot. Strange Jigsaw is probably better than either of those games. Flicker is probably better than either of those games. House of Redacted Treat is better than either of those. Bonanza is in a good spot, I think. Utter a Name, I think, is better than either. Goes here, and Tower Wizard goes here. Then down here, Mario Kart at the top of It's All Right, absolutely. I also liked this game a good deal. You go back there. Again, arguably the worst title of the year. Yeah, I think this is about right for me. It's complicated. That looks good to me. This is the top of the tier, though. This is the best game in this list. Easy. It's just, again, complicated. Metal Garden. This looks correct to me. And then down here, yep. Digging a Hole is the worst game I played this year. Easy. Riches Are Dead is the best game I played this year. Also easy. Well, that's my thoughts on the games I played this year. It's been a long recording, I think. How long have I been going for that at this? Oh man, an hour. Well, I hope you all enjoy the video. If you do, if you have your own thoughts on the games I talk about here, or anything that you think I would like based on what I liked from this past year, let me know in those comments below. If you liked this video, if you liked this format of more casual tier list creation and chatting about games, let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe. Those metrics help me know which topics y'all want to see in the future. If you liked this, do let me know, please. And if you want to know more about any of my thoughts on any given thing, I'll make a point of looking at. I always read all my comments. I don't always have a chance to respond to all of them, but I will make a point of responding more so here if you have questions or thoughts on the games themselves. Until next time, enjoy yourself.